Most people do not lose peace because life is hard. They lose peace because they react too quickly. A rude comment, a delay, bad news, a mistake, a moment of disrespect, and suddenly their whole inner state changes. Not because the event was stronger than them, but because they gave the event immediate control. The Stoics understood something powerful. Calm is not found in easy moments. It is built before hard moments arrive. And if you can remain calm when life gets loud, you gain something rare. Clear judgment, self-control, dignity, strength. This video is about how to build that. Not how to escape difficulty. How to stay steady inside it. Chapter 1. The moment you lose calm, you lose power. The first thing you need to understand is this. Every time you react without thinking, you give away power. Power over your words. Power over your judgment. Power over your decisions. Power over your peace. Most people think calmness is just a personality trait. It is not. It is self-command. And self-command matters because the world is full of moments that try to take hold of you. An insult, a setback, a misunderstanding, a fear, a change of plan. The event happens first. Then comes the dangerous part. Your interpretation. This is terrible. This ruined everything. They do not respect me. I cannot handle this. This always happens to me. That is where people lose themselves. Not in the event itself. In the story they instantly tell about it. The Stoics warned about this. They knew that what disturbs us is often not what happened, but what we decide it means before we have paused long enough to see clearly. That is why one person stays steady and another falls apart in the same kind of situation. The difference is not luck. It is training. A reactive person obeys the first wave. A calm person creates space before response. That space is everything. Because in that space, your reason returns. Your dignity returns. Your perspective returns. Without it, emotion becomes your master. And the moment emotion becomes your master, even a small situation can control you. That is not strength. That is vulnerability wearing the mask of honesty. Real calmness is not feeling nothing. It is refusing to become everything you feel. That is why remaining calm is power. Because when you stay calm, you can still think. You can still measure the moment correctly. You can still choose what deserves your energy and what does not. And that one ability can change your whole life. If this message is already speaking to you, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. And in the comments, write, "I choose calm." Because calm is not weakness. It is one of the highest forms of strength. So the first lesson is simple. You do not need to control every situation. You need to stop every situation from controlling you. That is where Stoic calm begins. Chapter 2. What is in your control and what is not? One of the main reasons people lose their calm is because they keep fighting reality. They want people to be fair. They want plans to work perfectly. They want respect when they expect it. They want certainty before they act. They want life to move according to their preferences. And when it does not, they become disturbed. This is where Stoicism becomes practical. The Stoics taught that peace begins when you separate life into two parts: what is in your control and what is not. That sounds simple, but most people do not live that way. They try to control other people's opinions, other people's moods, timing, outcomes, the past. the future, how quickly life changes, how kindly everyone behaves. And because none of that fully belongs to them, their peace is always unstable. A calm person sees this differently. They understand that control is smaller than the ego wants, but stronger than most people realize. You may not control what happens, but you control how you meet it. You may not control another person's words, but you control your response. You may not control whether life delays your plan, but you control whether the delay becomes anger, bitterness, or patience. You may not control the outcome, but you control your effort, your conduct, and your self-respect. That is enough. In fact, that is where real strength begins. Because the person who needs the world to cooperate in order to remain calm will never stay calm for long. Life is too unpredictable for that. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Misunderstandings will happen. Unexpected problems will arrive. So if your peace depends on the outside world behaving well, your peace will always be weak. The Stoic path is different. It says, "Let me return to what is mine, my judgment, my attitude, my restraint, my next step, my character." That shift changes everything. Now, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "How will I respond to this?" Instead of asking, "Why are they like this?" you ask, "Will I let their behavior enter my character?" Instead of asking, "Why is life not going my way?" you ask, "What is the wisest thing I can do now?" These are better questions, because they pull you back from helplessness and return you to responsibility. And responsibility is calmer than blame. Blame makes the mind loud. Responsibility makes it clear. This does not mean you become passive. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop wasting energy trying to force what was never yours to command. That is wisdom. A lot of emotional suffering comes from arguing with what already is. It already happened. They already said it. The delay is already here. The mistake has already been made. But the mind keeps shouting, "This should not be happening." That reaction changes nothing. It only adds a second layer of pain. The Stoic learns to accept reality first, so they can deal with it well. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means clarity. It means seeing the moment as it is, instead of exhausting yourself fighting the fact that it exists. And once you do that, something powerful happens. You get lighter, because you stop carrying things that were never yours. Other people's reactions, tomorrow's fears, yesterday's regret, every possible outcome, every imagined disaster. You stop carrying all of it, and you return to your part. That is where calm lives. So when life feels heavy, ask yourself, what part of this is actually mine? Usually, the answer is smaller than your panic suggests. And that is good news, because your part is enough. Your response is enough. Your discipline is enough. Your standards are enough. Your next wise step is enough. That is how Stoic calm is built. Not by controlling the whole world, but by refusing to abandon control of yourself. And in the next chapter, we get even more practical. Because once you know what is yours to govern, the next question becomes, how do you pause fast enough to stop emotion from taking over? Chapter 3. How to pause before emotion takes over. Knowing what is in your control is powerful. But in real life, the hard part is remembering it fast enough. Because emotion moves quickly. A look, A message, a mistake, a sharp tone, a moment of fear, and suddenly your body reacts before your wisdom does. Your breathing changes, your chest tightens, your thoughts speed up, your mind starts building a story. This is why so many people lose calm, not because they are weak, because they are fast. Too fast to question the feeling, too fast to slow the moment down, too fast to notice that the first reaction is not always the right one. The Stoic answer is simple: create a pause. That pause is where freedom begins. Because if there is no pause, there is only reaction. And reaction is expensive. It makes you say too much, assume too much, defend too much, fear too much. A pause interrupts all of that. So how do you do it? First, slow the body. When the mind speeds up, start with your breath. One slow breath in, one slow breath out. Then again. This is not a small trick. It is a way of telling your nervous system, I am not in danger just because I feel intense emotion. That matters. Because many people treat emotional urgency like proof that immediate action is needed. But intensity is not instruction. Just because a feeling is strong does not mean it should lead. Second, delay the story. Most people do not react to what happened. They react to what they think it means. This is disrespect. This is a disaster. This always happens. This will go badly. They are against me. But fast meaning is often false meaning. So when emotion rises, say this quietly in your mind: let me see clearly first. That one sentence can save you, because it stops you from turning a difficult moment into a personal catastrophe before the truth is even clear. Third, ask one grounding question. What is actually happening right now? Not next week. Not worst-case scenario. Not your old wound. Not your fear. Right now. Usually the present moment is smaller than the story in your head. Right now, maybe someone spoke harshly. Right now, maybe the plan changed. Right now, maybe you made a mistake. Right now, maybe the answer is unclear. That is enough to handle. Do not add 10 imagined problems to one real one. Fourth, slow your speech. This is one of the most practical forms of calm. People often lose control through the mouth first. They rush to explain, rush to defend, rush to say the sharp thing, rush to prove something. But slower speech creates order. When you speak slower, you think better. When you think better, you choose better. You do not have to answer everything immediately. Silence is often stronger than impulsive words. Fifth, reduce the moment to the next right step. When people panic, they try to solve everything at once. The whole future, the whole conflict, the whole consequence. That is too much. Calm returns when you shrink the focus. What is the next right thing? Take the breath. Lower your tone. Ask one question. Wait a minute. Step back if needed. Finish the next task. The mind handles life better in pieces than in piles. And maybe that is the biggest lesson of this chapter. You do not need to eliminate emotion. You need to stop emotion from becoming your immediate commander. That is what the pause does. It gives your wisdom time to return. And if you practice this enough, something starts to change. You become harder to rush, harder to provoke, harder to confuse. Not because life became easier, because you became slower in the moments that used to control you. And in the next chapter, We go where calm is tested most, with people, because many problems are manageable. What shakes us most is often another person's attitude, words, or behavior. Chapter 4. How to stay calm when people provoke you. It is one thing to stay calm with problems. It is another thing to stay calm with people. Because people do not just create inconvenience. They touch your ego, your pride, your expectations, your old wounds. A rude tone, a dismissive comment, a betrayal, a misunderstanding, a criticism that hits something sensitive. And suddenly, the problem is no longer just external. It feels personal. That is why people can disturb us more than events. They do not just interrupt our day. They challenge our sense of self. The Stoics understood this clearly. They knew that when someone behaves badly, the real danger is not only what they do, it is what they tempt you to become. Impulsive, petty, cruel, defensive, small. That is the real test. Because the moment another person can control your behavior with very little effort, they hold more power over you than they should. So the first rule is this: do not let another person's lack of discipline become your excuse to lose yours. Just because someone is rude does not mean you must be rude. Just because someone is loud does not mean you must become loud. Just because someone misunderstands you does not mean you must abandon your character trying to correct them instantly. A reactive person asks, "How do I answer them?" A calm person asks, "Who do I want to be in this moment?" That is the better question. Because calmness with people is not mainly about winning the interaction. It is about protecting your dignity inside it. Second, stop taking every bad behavior as final truth about you. Sometimes people act from their own confusion, their insecurity, their pain, their immaturity. That does not excuse everything, but it gives perspective. A rude person may be wounded. A dismissive person may be threatened. An angry person may be carrying chaos you did not create. Once you remember that, you stop absorbing every tone and every comment as proof of your worth. Sometimes their behavior is not a mirror of you. It is a mirror of them. That thought alone can save you a lot of peace. Third, use distance wisely. Calmness is not always saying the perfect thing. Sometimes it is saying less. Sometimes it is waiting. Sometimes it is ending the conversation for now. Stepping back. Refusing to escalate. Choosing not to fight for understanding in a moment where no understanding is possible. Not every conflict deserves your full emotional energy. That is not weakness. That is judgment. Fourth, lower your expectations of human perfection. A lot of emotional pain comes from hidden expectation. You expected maturity. You expected fairness. You expected care. You expected someone to handle you gently. And when they did not, pain turned into emotional fire. But life becomes lighter when you stop expecting unhealed people to act healed. That does not mean you become cold. It means you become realistic. You stop being shocked every time selfish people act selfishly, or immature people act immaturely. You stop letting ordinary human imperfection destroy your center. And finally, remember this: your calm is part of your self-respect. Do not trade it cheaply, not for one sentence, not for one emotional moment, not for the temporary relief of reacting in a way you will later regret. Protect your peace, because peace is hard to build and easy to hand away. And in the final chapter, we bring everything together. Because calmness is not just something you use in emergencies. It is something you become. Chapter 5. Become the person chaos cannot easily move. In the end, calmness is not just a technique. It is an identity. Because if calm is only something you try to remember once in a while, it will disappear the moment life gets intense. But if calm becomes part of who you are, then pressure may still come, but it will not own you so easily. That is the Stoic goal. Not to avoid life, not to become emotionless, but to build such inner steadiness that life cannot shake you every time it gets loud. A calm person understands something reactive people forget. Not everything deserves all of me. Not every inconvenience deserves my peace. Not every opinion deserves my emotion. Not every conflict deserves my energy. Not every setback deserves my panic. That is wisdom. Because many people stay exhausted not only because life is hard, but because they give too much of themselves to things that are too small to deserve that much of their soul. A bad moment becomes a bad day. A bad day becomes a bad life. A passing emotion becomes identity. The calm person stops doing that. They still feel. They still care. They still notice. But they measure things correctly. And that is one of the deepest forms of strength. A calm person also learns not to worship immediate emotion. They understand that emotion is information, not command. You can feel anger without obeying it. Feel fear without surrendering to it. Feel stress without letting it run your behavior. Feel hurt without letting it decide your character. That is freedom. Because the world is full of people being lived by their reactions. But the Stoic chooses to live by principle, by perspective, by restraint, by chosen response. That is what makes calmness powerful. It is not passive. It is power under control. And if this video has helped you, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Because the ability to remain calm is one of the most valuable strengths you can build. Here is the final truth. A calm person becomes trustworthy. People feel it. They feel that you are steady, that you do not make every situation worse, that you can be relied on under pressure, that your presence brings order instead of noise. That kind of presence changes your whole life. It changes how you speak, how you decide, how people trust you, how you experience yourself. Because there is deep self-respect in knowing that not everything can control you. Not every mood, not every fear, not every person, not every setback. That self-respect is earned through pauses, through restraint, through perspective, through repeated moments when you could have reacted but chose dignity instead. That is how peace becomes part of your character. So do not wait for life to become easier before you become calmer. Life may never give you perfect conditions. There will always be difficult people, unexpected problems, moments that test your patience, fear, and ego. But peace is still possible. Not because life becomes gentle, because you become stronger within it. So remember this, you do not have to attend every emotional emergency inside your mind. You do not have to believe every first thought. You do not have to react at the speed of your feelings. You can pause. You can breathe. You can return to yourself. You can choose. And that choice is where your power lives. If this message stayed with you, write this in the comments. I protect my peace. Because that is what calm people do. They do not wait for the world to stop being chaotic. They become the kind of person chaos cannot easily move.